The air will smell like wood smoke and regret. You will hear the screams of neighbors who bought the wrong insurance. They stockpiled gold, silver, and dehydrated mashed potatoes. They believed the lie that money retains value when society stops keeping the score. They were fools. Gold is heavy. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't heal the infected cut you got scavenging the third day after collapse. It is inert, worthless weight. This isn't a guide for survival. Survival is amateur hour. This is the blueprint for control. We are talking about absolute low-cost leverage over the desperate masses. Forget the heavy, shiny metals that made your ancestors rich. Your new currency is measured in dependency. It is cheap, easily stored, and terrifyingly addictive. We are looking at 3 incredibly common, inexpensive items. 3 things that bypass every financial crisis, every EMP, every viral outbreak. If you have these 3 things, you don't trade. You dictate. Here is the thing about collapse. It isn't a single catastrophic event. It is the slow, agonizing erosion of infrastructure. First goes the grid, then goes trust, then goes modern medicine and logistics. When those pillars crumble, the high IQ survivor understands one principle. Power flows to the source of pain relief, not just physical pain, but psychological desperation. Your neighbor, who trained hard and bought a tactical solar setup, will still beg you for what they didn't anticipate. The emotional crutch, the life-saving chemical compound, the promise of a future meal. They bought 10,000 rounds of 5.56 comma, but they forgot about the black market economy of the soul. They forgot about the inherent weakness built into the civilized human animal. That weakness is your strength. We are building an economy where you own the banks, the hospitals, and the farm. All without investing in a single expensive piece of machinery. Listen closely. We start with the first item. It is the ultimate psychological control mechanism. It is highly addictive, universally craved by approximately a quarter of the population, and easily stored for decades. I'm talking about high-quality dried tobacco, nicotine. Think about this carefully. When the world ends, most people still alive will have been smokers, or drinkers, or coffee addicts. They have physical dependencies that cannot be cured by willpower alone. The withdrawal is agonizing. The irritability is maddening. Tobacco is small, dense, and non-perishable if stored correctly in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. One large, vacuum-sealed mylar bag of raw leaf tobacco can be partitioned into thousands of individual, high-value transactions. This is better than owning silver coins. Why? Because the man whose nerves are shot, whose hands are shaking, who hasn't had a hit of nicotine in 2 weeks, will trade his last can of gas for one smoke. He will trade his scope, his extra magazine, maybe even his watch, for that chemical relief. It doesn't just offer pleasure, it offers mental stability in an unstable world. It keeps men focused, or at least docile. One pack of cigarettes is a universal currency that understands human frailty better than any central banker ever could. It is the easiest, cheapest route to hoarding massive short-term leverage. Never consume it yourself. It is too valuable for that. It is simply inventory. Now, let's pivot to the second, more dangerous pillar of control. This is where you become the absolute gatekeeper of life and death. I am talking about broad-spectrum antibiotics. Forget the silly prepper notion of stocking endless bandages and first aid kits. Those are great, but they don't fix what truly kills people after societal collapse: infection. In a world without sanitation, clean running water, or reliable surgery, a simple scratch or a dental abscess becomes a death sentence. Sepsis is the silent killer that wipes out more survivors than any raider gang. If you own the antibiotics, you own the power to turn a death sentence into a mild inconvenience. Specifically, you need the trifecta: amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, and doxycycline. Amoxicillin handles the common bacterial infections. Cipro is for respiratory and urinary tract monsters. Doxycycline, the underrated MVP, handles severe infections, Lyme disease, and even basic waterborne parasites. These drugs have a shelf life, yes, but that life can be extended dramatically. Store them in a cool, dark, dry place, sealed against moisture. They might lose potency over a decade, but 80% potency is still a miracle cure to a desperate father watching his child burn up with fever. This is where the high IQ approach comes in. Do not hand out pills. You prescribe them. You triage. This man has a bad cold? No. This woman's wound is festering and she can't work. Yes, but the cost is high. Antibiotics are leverage over competence, loyalty, and labor. They are the ultimate negotiation tool because the consequence of refusal is death. That is absolute power. The real leverage, however, isn't held in immediate pain relief or short-term healing. The real genius of survival is controlling the timeline. The long game is played with the third most deceptively simple item, heirloom seeds, not just any seeds. We are talking about non-hybrid, open-pollinated seeds for staple crops. Think corn, beans, squash, and grains that can be harvested and replanted generation after generation. This is crucial. Hybrid seeds are useless because their progeny are sterile or produce poor yields. They force dependency on a seed supplier that no longer exists. Heirloom seeds are perpetual wealth. They represent the future of food. When the MREs run out, when the canned goods are gone, and when the scavenged fields have been stripped bare, the person who controls the seeds controls the entire localized food chain. This is not a barter item you trade for a can of soup. This is how you buy land. This is how you buy loyalty for the next 5 years. If you have a viable stock of these seeds, you are not just a prepper. You are the feudal lord of the agricultural future. Storing them requires precision. They must be kept dry, vacuum sealed, and ideally frozen, or stored in a deep refrigerator, if power allows, or deep underground. This preserves the viability, the core genetic programming, for decades. But seeds alone are not enough. Your real power comes from the knowledge of asterisk, how asterisk to use them effectively. Understanding soil rotation, companion planting, and effective natural pest control is part of the package. Because you aren't just selling seeds, you are selling the asterisk promise asterisk of harvest. And that promise requires expertise which you will carefully dole out. This gives you a leverage over communities, not just individuals. If a group needs to establish a sustainable food source, they come to you. They offer protection, resources, and fealty. They become your tenants, farming your land with your seeds, ensuring your security. Now, let's talk maintenance and the invisible killers that undermine the amateur prepper. Even with your 3 pillars of power, addiction control, health control, and sustenance control, you must manage your own risk. First, carbon monoxide. When the grid is down, people turn to generators, propane heaters, and open fires indoors. CO is odorless, tasteless, and silently ends your reign. Stock cheap battery-powered CO detectors, sealed against moisture. Use them religiously. They are cheaper than a single gold coin and worth infinitely more. Second, hydration. Yes, purification tablets are cheap, but they are finite. Bleach is the secret weapon, specifically unscented household bleach with a 6% concentration of sodium hypochlorite. Stored properly, it is a massive, inexpensive reserve of sanitation and water purification. Learn the dosage. Learn how to make the chlorine last. Controlling the water source is the baseline of power. Your seeds won't grow without it. Your customers will die without it. Finally, the unseen psychological danger of your own success. If you establish yourself as the singular source of these 3 vital resources, you become a target. This isn't the movies. There is no honor among the desperate. Your high IQ tactics must include high IQ security. Never consolidate your stocks in one visible location. Cache the tobacco in 3 spots. Hide the antibiotics in a 4th. Keep the bulk of the heirloom seeds completely separate from the planting knowledge. Your goal is not to look rich or powerful. Your goal is to be the indispensable ghost in the machine, the one person who, if removed, causes immediate collapse for everyone else. Your existence must be directly proportional to the continued comfort and survival of your community, even if they hate you. So, let's review the final plan. Ignore the fool's gold. Invest in the dependencies. First, nicotine for short-term psychological leverage and trade. Second, broad-spectrum antibiotics to control life, death, and loyalty. Third, heirloom seeds and the corresponding knowledge to control the future and establish long-term dominion. These 3 cheap items, mastered and managed, transform you from a survivor into a silent ruler. When the final embers glow and the currency is desperation, you won't be bartering your canned beans for a flashlight. You will be trading a single dose of Cipro for a man's eternal service. Welcome to the new world. You won.